It feels a little bit like deja vu here in the final for the Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifying tournament. The U.S. and Canada match up for the 4th final in a row to claim that #1 spot in Concacaf. This rivalry match starts now. Welcome in, everybody. I'm Jordan Angeli alongside the U.S. Women's National Team veteran Lori Lindsay. It is a little bit cooler of a day here in Carson, California, 56 degrees. But Lori Lindsay, this is a really exciting match. Both these teams have qualified in that semifinal match on Friday. But when you look at these matches, Canada got here because of the play by Jordan Heidem, a 7th goal for her on the tournament, maybe the biggest yet.
Well, 100% the biggest. This is what sent them to Tokyo 2020 at the end of the summer. At the same time, Heidem, with her 7th goal of this tournament, nearly misses this one, but does find the back of the net, and it comes from that wide play where they've been successful all tournament.
Big hug there from Coach Kenneth Heinermoller, and that was their first spot. 2 spots in CONCACAF. The second one goes to the United States, and it was scoring by committee. 8 different goal scorers for the U.S. through qualifying, and here's a look at a couple of those goal scorers in the semifinal.
And one of the biggest advantages the U.S. have had is the ability to rotate players and those players being able to score goals at will. Kristen Press and Sam Mewis, 2 of those players that have come up big, allowing for this team to vie for the championship game in CONCACAF region.
So we see big smiles on both of those teams' faces. But when you're talking about the biggest games, maybe the semifinal is the biggest, right? Because you needed to notch that spot in 2020 Tokyo. But what are you looking forward to in this rivalry matchup, Lori?
Well, both of these teams came here to qualify for the Olympics in this summer in Japan. At the same time, they came here to prove that they are #1 in this region and to win this final game. Fairly easy roads for both of these teams. 23 goals for Canada, 22 goals for the U.S. Neither team has conceded a goal. This is by far going to be the most competitive match each of them has faced. And with the U.S. winning the last 4 Olympic qualifiers, or the last 4 in a row, you got to imagine that the Canadian national team is going to want to right that ship.
And Lori, as we see the teams walk out onto the pitch here at Dignity Health Sports Park, you've been in those lines. You've been a part of this exact rivalry in 2012. You played in this final match. What are the feelings going through these players? What does it feel like to be one of those players prepping yourself for a huge match?
Well, some of the nerves have settled after already qualifying in the semifinal match for both of these teams. At the same time, again, physical rivalry, high energy whenever these 2 teams face up, and you expect that this afternoon, but it's going to be about managing those emotions right away.
The United States in the long sleeve jackets on the near side. Canada on your right side here as you look at it. We're going to send it to the PA announcer here in Carson, California, as we welcome both of these teams and get their national anthems now. Emotions run high after these two teams qualified for the Olympics. Now they get to match up for the 60th time in their all-time history. The last 4 finals here for Concacaf Women's Olympic Qualifiers, well, it's been these two teams. For Canada, a team that doesn't make very many changes after that semifinal match, but Stephanie Labe is staying in net for them, Lori.
And 2 changes coming in after that semifinal match. It's number 5, Rebecca Quinn, and number 8, Jade Revere, the 19-year-old, get the nod. But really all the focal point is going to be on number 12, Christine Sinclair. The Canadian women's national team has won 100 games in their history. When she scores, she's going to need to have a massive night, penetrating that back line of the U.S. defense. And her and number 17, Jessie Fleming, have matched up and integrated well together throughout this tournament. Can they do that tonight as well?
There's Sinclair and Fleming flanking the front row there of the starting 11 photo for Canada. Canada knows this is a big match for them. Tatiana Guzman from Nicaragua will be our center official. Anidia Gomez, Tanya Diane will be on the sides as assistant referees. Kadisha Buchanan on the left, Julie Ertz on the right. Captains for Canada and the United States, respectively. For the United States, they're a team that, if one thing is consistent about what they've done through this tournament, Lori, it's been the changes in their roster. They do it again here.
And that has been such a positive for them to be able to rotate players with such short notice between games. Number 11, Allie Krieger, number 2, Emily Sonic get the nod in that back line, but 3 changes up top with number 20, Kristen Press, 13, Lynn Williams, and 14, Jessica McDonald. Talk about 3 strikers that could cause some issues for that back line of Canada.
6 total changes for the United States. Well, Kristen Press, talk about 6. She's had goals in the last 6 games she's played in. She's going to be one of the players that Canada is going to have to take care of here tonight for Canada and the United States. 20-player rosters, 3 of them being goalkeepers, but each side has a plethora of players that they can bring off the bench to have an impact. Christine Sinclair, the leading goal scorer in all of international soccer, wearing that number 12 jersey for Canada. As Lori said, she's going to need to have a huge impact here to help her Canadian squad get their 4th victory against this United States squad in their history. Big matchup here from Carson, California. We're underway. Canada wearing their all-red kits, the United States in the all-white. I'm Jordan Angeli alongside U.S. Women's National Team legend Lori Lindsay. It has been a fun tournament to call, and it all comes down to this, the final. The biggest rivals in North America, Canada, United States, 90 minutes. It should be a good match, ladies and gentlemen. Good look at head coach for Canada, Kenneth Heiner-Moller, in his 3rd year in charge of the Canadian women's national team. Then the new guy in charge, 6 games for Vlatko Ananovsky, 6 victories, only 2 goals against in that span. Both of these men before the match talking about how important this game is and how every game is an opportunity for their squads to get better. And that's all that they're focused on. Well, Lori, you've been a player in this match. There's a lot more on the line than that, right? This is a rivalry.
Oh, it's a physical rivalry. It's an exciting rivalry. There's tons of energy always. Usually we see quite a few yellow cards involved and a ton of fouls at the same time. A lot of respect between these two teams.
Right away, Rose Lavelle springs in Jessica McDonald, gets the start tonight. Does McDonald, going against Lawrence and earning the first corner kick. You're just talking about yellow cards. First corner kick here for the United States. The United States have been lethal on corner kicks throughout the tournament. Kristen Press will do the honors here. Dahlkemper has made her way into the box. It's going to be Haran first. Now Williams, defended by Becky and then Sinclair. USA still on it. Crystal Dunn in her 101st cap can't connect that ball deep in the US's attacking third.
But that's an area for everyone to keep an eye on, though, as the set pieces for the US have been so lethal in terms of finding the back of the net. Lindsay Horan getting her head on that one. Good job by Becky to be able to keep that one out, because Lynn Williams, it fell to her. Could have been a good opportunity early on, but those are some areas that the US will want to take advantage of just with their aerial presence, the quality of service in those with those set pieces.
Buchanan's ball into Becky, gets picked off by Dunn. She looks straight away to stretch the back line. Canada in some good spots to defend that. For the United States and Canada, this is a long rivalry. They have met each other 60 times now. The first game going all the way back to July of 1986. It was actually Canada's first game that they played on the international level. So when we say the threads between these two sides run deep, it is absolutely true. Because Lawrence can play about anywhere, and we've seen her play anywhere. She's out on the left today, trying to bring in Becky. Too heavy of a touch by Becky.
And Jordan, one of the things that you and I were talking about coming into this game is how do you make adjustments knowing that the US has the ability to rotate players, come out with an entirely new lineup for the most part. And with both of these teams just playing 48 hours ago in the semifinal, what does that look like for Canada? And already we're seeing them in this more of a 5-back with Sophie Schmidt, who's usually a midfielder, playing in that back with Zadorsky and Buchanan. Going to look to try to clog up that midfield, or excuse me, that back line, and stop that potent attack that the US has, especially with those 3 strikers, brand new from that semifinal match.
The ball just goes past Quinn. Fleming cleans it up. Ertz steps in to deflect that one. And we've talked through these the semifinal game and Canada's matches really in general in this qualifying tournament, and they've switched from a 3-5-2 to a 4-3-3, and really that this 5-back is a slight iteration off that 3-5-2 that they've played a couple times. Does it give them a little bit more defensive of a look, or does it also help in how they go forward? How would you differentiate there?
Both. At the same time, depending on how you rotate players, do you want to start in a more defensive shape instead of come out into an attack and leave yourself exposed against those 3 strikers for the US?
Here's Lavelle. Has McDonald. She's going to stay on the ball. McDonald runs offside.
And Rose Lavelle already getting herself in good position. She has been massive throughout this tournament, being able to run it back line. And I like this from Jess McDonald. Originally pulls out to open up space and then sees a little gap in behind, makes that little darting run. Too heavy of a touch from Rose Lavelle, but good look nonetheless. And that's what we're going to see throughout this game is some of that width area. What team can switch a point of attack quickly? Both teams are going to go in hard defensively, try to pinch, and keep the width and the angles tight.
Horan wins that one in the midfield. Lindsay Horan, Golden, Colorado native, getting the start. And so is Lynn Williams. She's off. Beats Schmidt, trying to get around Buchanan. But Kadisha Buchanan earning her 100th cap here tonight for Canada is going to be a little bit harder to beat than that. Here's Ertz now on the ball. Brings in Creer. Crystal Dunn switches it far post. McDonald. How she got that much pace on the header was quite incredible.
And already we're seeing a different look by this US team in that semifinal match. Not a true out-and-out striker in that starting lineup. Here we have 3 with Jess McDonald, Lynn Williams, and Kristen Press. being able to penetrate that back line, force Canada on the back heels. Lynn Williams already active, Jessica McDonald making runs. It's going to look different in terms of their ability to play balls in behind, see if they can open up that defense for Canada. But to your earlier question, Jordan, about what these different formations look like, this is something that both coaches talked about coming into this tournament, which is being able to adapt, being able to make changes on the fly within each game. And that's going to look different depending on who you're playing. And we're already seeing that with Canada making some different formation changes coming into this game, the U.S. making different personnel changes.
Horan. Cross doesn't go cleanly into the mix, but it's going to be picked up again by Sonnet on the far side. I think my question earlier was speaking to how quickly Canada can adjust too from one formation to the next, as you just spoke about there. But this might be a chance for them. It's one of the things those front runners might be looking for, is one of those balls across the back line that just isn't cleanly played. U.S. on the right side. The cross, Horan's eyeing it. Horan's heads it, punched away by Labe. Julie Ertz earning a call against her right there. I'd say that was definitely a foul, as you see Julie Ertz there wearing the captain's armband.
Well, this is where the space is going to be for the U.S. when you see 5 defenders on that back line for Canada. And you talk about formation changes. They are getting numbers behind, doing a good job, but it's going to be all about how the U.S. can break that down. Can they be patient? There might not be a ton of room in behind that back line, so can they switch the point of attack and play in front? I think that's going to be a good test for the U.S. today. Been able to start these games with high energy, find some gaps behind the opposing team's back line, running at them, and already Canada coming out hard, making sure that they have their defense shored up, getting numbers behind the ball. And that's proven to be somewhat of an issue sometimes for this U.S. team. How well can they break that defense down, be patient when the goals don't come early?
Canada was well aware of the high pressure that the United States has put on their opponents here in this Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifying. They've scored in every game within the first 5 minutes. Here we're into the 10th minute, no goals for the United States. A small victory there for Canada, but some good play already by them. The ball into the mix. Buchanan clears it away. These two teams, the highest goal-scoring teams in this tournament. Canada, 23 goals. The United States, 22. So because of goal differential, Canada gets the home field advantage here, even though they're playing in the United States here in Carson. But just proves to you how potent this offense of Canada can be. So we see Schmidt clean up that ball. Now Fleming. Lawrence wants it on the far side, but Canada's going to keep it here on the right side of their attack, which they have been so good at creating opportunities down the right side. Maybe a little different when you're facing off against Crystal Dunn.
Whenever Crystal Dunn's running at you, you're going to give her some space, make sure you have a buffer.
But defensively, Dunn really solidified her spot last year in the 2019 Women's World Cup. Having been a player that has played all over the field, she dominated that tournament at that position, and whether she likes it or not, I think that's going to be her position now for the rest of her time.
And to her credit, she's really turned that into an attacking type position as well.
Sonnet can't connect with McDonald right away, and Schmidt clears it. And the only player to start every game here now in this Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifying is Crystal Dunn. So talk about solidifying that position and making it her own. Horan. High presses now. Schmidt, one of those players who slid into the back line. Getting a little bit of a taste of the physicality already here in this matchup. Jessie Fleming shows her skill off.
And this is a good start by Canada. You can tell their game plan was to win that first ball once the U.S. is trying to attack quickly and with numbers, and then pick up the second ball. Once they pick up that second ball, can they stay calm, connect the pass, look to keep possession? Not much from them going forward yet, but if they can continue to build confidence, keep U.S. off the scoreboard early on.
Crystal Dunn stops on a dime. That little touch by Zadorsky keeps it out of the danger of Jessica McDonald. Back post. Second corner kick here for the United States. Shelina Zadorsky getting that touch there. A member of the Orlando Pride and NWSL. A number of players on both teams playing in the current professional league here in the United States. Kristen Press, one of them. She sends this one in. Sinclair clears it, and so does Jessie Fleming. This restart can be an area where the United States can cause problems. That one handled well by Quinn. Relentless from Dunn. How important is the play of Janine Becky tonight? Because she's been an outlet for Canada.
Well, I was just about to say that she not only has been good on the offensive side, but she doesn't get enough credit for what she brings defensively.
Horan's ball goes slightly off target.
We saw her early in those first few minutes on that initial corner kick by the U.S., getting there, getting that little touch on Lynn Williams' opportunity, and then just now getting back, making sure she has Crystal Dunn covered and not allowed to get her into the attack. And it's just those little small nuances to her game that have really elevated her, but also bring just that little extra something to this Canadian team on both sides of the ball. When you're playing against a U.S. team and the smallest of details are what matter, that's what you want from one of your star players.
Jade Revere on the ball now, getting her first taste at Olympic qualifying. The youngster with so much talent and potential here for this Canadian squad, as she showed last year in the Women's World Cup. Krieger finds Dunn. Now Lavelle, she just gets shouldered off the ball.
And Jordan, this is a little thing, but just then we saw Allie Krieger be able to pick up the ball, and Crystal's only about 5 yards away from her. Can Crystal Dunn get higher up the field and bypass that midfield for Canada? Because right now, she's staying too close to Allie Krieger. It's just allowing Canada to shift over and get pressure on her right away. They only have Christine Sinclair staying up top, so send those outside backs of Crystal Dunn and Emily Sonnet higher up the field so they get more numbers into the attack.
Right when you said that, she was a little bit higher, but even I think Lori Lindsay wants her higher than that, as she could have broken that next line of pressure that you saw there. Now U.S. on the far side, Sonnet in a good piece of space. Ertz's early ball is defended by Buchanan, but Press is lurking in the mix there. Kristen Press, 7 goals in the last 6 games in a row. She gets some direction from her captain today, Ertz. Lawrence, some skill on the far side. Canada's 2019 Female Player of the Year. Showing a little bit of class over there. Keeps the ball and does a really good job of including some more players in Canada's attack.
And this is good patience, good sophistication from Canada. Once they win it, looking to link up with Christine Sinclair, their highest player. Much better start than we saw against Costa Rica in the semifinal match. Higher energy, finding open players. Got more numbers around the ball within this 5-3-2 system that they're employing.
Canada with some comfort playing out of the back, and it's not as if they're not getting pressured by the speed of Williams and press. They keep it here. Sinclair getting a few touches. Now Becky, the highest player on the field, brings in Revere. Revere scored one of the top goals of this tournament. Canada's first game against St. Kitts. Sinclair hunts this one down. Dahlkemper doing enough to just shield her away from getting any kind of touch on it. Christine Sinclair is not only the leading goal scorer in all international soccer with 186 goals to her name, but she has the most goals in Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifiers as well. 21 goals in all competitions, these Olympic qualifiers for her. Has participated in quite a few, all the way back to 2004. Only player on the field on these two teams that have played in that 2004 Olympic qualifiers.
And you can see Emily Sonnet screaming for that ball. That ball has got to go out the other side. That's how you're going to expose and break down this defense for Canada. So many players pinch over to one side. If you're Lindsay Horan, you've got to know it's got to go out the other side.
McDonald. Cross doesn't do enough there. The U.S. with every field player in their attacking half win it back, but then it's just a little miscommunication there. Stephanie Labe from Stony Plain, Alberta, Canada, currently playing for the North Carolina Courage. Her third start of this qualifier. Lawrence on the far side has Sinclair. She gets the ball, but she was offside.
And it's a sign of a good goal scorer on that back shoulder. Right in between Crystal Dunn and Allie Krieger. Both of those two caught ball watching. Krieger, though, had that run covered, and with Sinclair just a tad offside.
Press now in space. Her ball's going to go into the hands of Labe. For the United States, through almost 1 minute here, Lori, a team that we've seen score in the first 5 minutes of every game they've had so far. For them, some differences. Yes, Canada maybe a little bit more of a challenge. 8th best team in the entire world is this Canadian squad. But for the U.S., what maybe are they lacking here in this first 21 minutes?
Well, just sophistication on the ball, and when they're going to connect, they don't always have to go forward. If you do, right now we see Lindsay Horan. There's not a ton of players around her. Can we get more numbers to break down? Because there are so many numbers sitting back for Canada. So there's not going to be a ton of room in behind. So combination play, switching the point of attack quickly to see if you can open up space for your outside backs for this U.S. team is going to help break this down. But there's got to be patience with it. No easy balls and no easy giveaways. Defensively, just making sure they don't leave Julie Ertz or even that back line isolated. Because with the likes of Fleming and Becky, their timing of their runs can be crucial.
Dunn's ball in, now McDonald far side. Volley goes wide of the net. But that was a great, right on your cue, right? Patience, bringing it all the way back to create this.
And it comes from wide, and you're getting your outside back, Crystal Dunn, into the attack. Roosevelt initially gets ahead on this, and then it's flicked on, and it falls right to Jess McDonald. That can't get around it, though. Tough bounce on that ball. But again, getting that ball wide, swinging those balls in, difficult to defend if you're a defender that's facing your goal.
Kenneth Heinermoller, the 7th coach in Canadian women's soccer history. Coached a while with the Danish national team. Was a part of Canada's World Cup run last summer. Now looking to lead this team in their first Olympics coming up in July in Tokyo. For him, he knows how important these matches are, playing the best in the world, how much you can learn about your team as they start to attack here. Becky making that run to the right side, crosses it far post. It's over the head of Sinclair. She'll bring in Lawrence now. Fleming. Lawrence again, finds Becky in a little bit of space, pops it over Krieger's head. Not too bad of a look there from Janine Becky, and Canada wins the ball out of the mix. Gets sent back in, Fleming far post, shot goes just over the crossbar. Some positive things to take out of that attack from Canada.
And this entire attack, Jordan, starts initially from a giveaway from the U.S., just lumping the ball in, and Canada picking up the second ball, and then are off and running, have numbers up situation, and then they're patient with their attack, and nothing comes of this, but at the same time, they're smooth, they're confident on the ball, they're finding Christine Sinclair, and then they're getting players underneath them to be able to get positions to be able to keep the ball and then attack from there.
Sinclair wins it again. As Fleming gets taken out by press.
Christine Sinclair and Jordan Fleming were two players that we talked about coming in that we're going to need to have an important game today, be active, be on the ball, and we've already seen that those two players playing off of one another, dictating when Canada is going to go a little bit more of a penetrating runs, or they're going to put their foot on the ball and keep it.
Zadorsky. Can't make that attack happen for Canada. Now Williams has the space she wants, in behind. She beats Schmidt. She's not gonna beat Buchanan. The Olympic Lyon defender has done such a good job being a rock for Canada. Lawrence wins this one. For Canada, they're looking to play out of the back. This time they just find Sinclair. That looked like one of those points that you had earlier, Lori, about Crystal Dunn being a little bit higher, a little bit wider in order to stretch this Canada team. She's gonna get it again. Press all the way on the touchline. Beats Revere. What a recovery from Revere. She doesn't even get a touch. She gets a goal kick for her team. Jade Revere, the University of Michigan sophomore, doing some good defending against Kristen Press.
And we've talked about how being able to have so many changes within your lineup and how that's been such a positive for this U.S. team to rotate players and rest legs. And at some point in time, is that also an Achilles heel? Because you get players in here that aren't accustomed to playing with one another. Are they used to linking up? You have three new front runners that haven't played a ton of minutes together. One of those players wasn't on the 2019. All these players vying to make a Olympic roster, so you have some added energy and nerves in that regard too. But you just feel like the U.S. team right now is discombobulated in the fact, like, if you can't get an early goal, if you can't play to beat a player with speed, where are they going to? What's their next idea.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that, Lori. There's been a couple times in the midfield where maybe in other games when those players weren't playing with each other, they fulfilled that role. And in this game, it seems like they're almost both trying to do that same thing. For Canada, they weathered that first 20 minutes, which they had to have known was important with the way the United States have been playing so far in this tournament. And now, ball possession nearly even as Revere gets forward, connects with Becky.
And that's the position I was talking about on the other side for Crystal Dunn. We saw Revere be able to get that ball that bypasses the midfield for the U.S. And then she has the option to go forward or cut back and keep possession. And that's what this 5-back brings to this Canada side, the ability to have cover for those front runners against the U.S., but at the same time create numbers up and numbers equal in the midfield and the attack. And credit to Canada, so smart in this opening 28 minutes. They've really had the better of the play. The U.S. lacking with the ideas in the final third. Canada doing a good job of picking up those second balls and then being patient in the attack. And really, you don't need to go forward right now. Force the U.S. to come out, force them to press you, and then see if you can open up seams that way.
Ali Krieger wins this through ball, finds a way to connect with Dunn. Well done by Krieger here on the near side. About 30 minutes into this matchup, and it's been a good one. The number 1 team in the world, the United States, against the number 8 team in the world, Canada. Exactly what we thought would happen, a battle of 2 rivals. I'm Jordan Angeli alongside U.S. Women's National Team veteran Lori Lindsay. Both teams trying to figure out how to break the other one down here. It's been a little bit of a chess match. The United States started with the majority of possession, and then the last 10 minutes, Canada has done a better job of keeping possessions and trying to create some attacks as Schmidt wins this one. United States dropping into a block, which we haven't seen them do much in this tournament. It's been really high pressure all the time. And of course, there's so much on the line here, Lori, but how much of this is really testing yourself in this situation where you're playing one of the best teams in the world? Both of these teams are playing one of the best in the world.
Well, and we talked about this in the Open, Jordan, where this is going to be by far the biggest test for these teams. Pretty easy road with the number of goals they've been able to score, neither team conceding. So it is going to be a chess match in terms of when you go, when you press, and when you hold back. And that's why I give this, so far for Canada, the advantage, because they are doing a good job of picking and choosing their moments and pressing the U.S. But it's all about seeing different ways and engaging where you are against this competition.
Williams in behind, had McDonald, but their teammate at the North Carolina Courage, Stephanie Labe, comes to scoop that one out. She's probably seen that connection a few times in club ball. Labe in her 71st cap. Well, has only had to make 5 saves so far in this tournament. Hasn't really been challenged yet today as Rose Lavelle and Rebecca Quinn get into a big tackle. Lawrence on the far side. Now Fleming has Janine Becky in a pocket of space. A really good touch by Janine Becky. She has an opportunity here. It goes near post. And who's waiting there? Alyssa Nair. Really decisive counter there from Canada. Best opportunity yet of the game.
And Janine Becky been so important to this Canada side throughout this tournament, playing as a winger majority of the time, whipping balls in, assisting, and now in a two-front with Christine Sinclair, almost a withdrawn number 9 underneath her. And just the timing of her runs, the touches her and Fleming are taking in there, so important, almost breaks free there.
And a little bit of leadership there. Rebecca Quinn looked like she was going to go, and Becky's screaming, stay. You can tell this Canada team discipline in the way that they're defending in that block of 5 and a block of 4. Quinn and Ertz battle. It's Haran who comes up with the ball. Now press from distance. Oh my goodness, that would have been a beauty. Saved by the post. Well, that's one way to pull out a block, is to shoot from distance like that.
And just like this is the best chance of the game for the U.S. Kristen Press does a good job of popping off that back line, buys herself a little time. That's a fabulous first touch to set herself up to be able to strike this on that second touch. And does she make contact with that? And you can see Vlatko Ananoski's disappointment there, because that had the back of the net written all over it. Looked like LeBay had that covered, or maybe even got a touch there on the very end. But when you have somebody like Kristen Press, who's scored some big-time goals in this tournament, is riding with confidence, get her the ball and see if she can find some space for herself. It's the first time in this match, though, Jordan.
Ball turned over here. Press from distance. That's going to be up and over the net. Mistake there by Labe.
And you appreciate Canada wanted building out of the back. At the same time, you know that these front runners for the U.S. are going to be coming fast and furious. You got to get rid of the ball, make sure you keep it out of danger. And LeBay's lucky on that one. Retreating, but at the same time, that was headed for the goal.
Whew.
Canada lucky
Couple
on
of
that
moments
one.
there for Canada. It was right on the heels of their opportunity on the other side. Here's Revere.
And such a different Canada side than we saw against Costa Rica in that semifinal. In this rivalry with the U.S., we know it brings it out in them. But keeping possession, getting good numbers around the ball, playing with confidence, building out of the back, looking to spring Sinclair and Fleming and Becky in the top. Really great first 35 minutes for this Canada side.
Maybe speaking a little bit to that chip on the shoulder of Canada, having lost the last 3 times in this match to the United States. They're hoping maybe 4th time's a charm for them. Each time a girl joins football, the world takes a strike towards equality. If you empower a girl, you empower a community to fight for their dreams. Concacaf W, we belong. Quinn cleans it up. She'll get the ball back again. Goes to the far side. McDonald just too slow on it, and Ashley Lawrence says, thank you very much, I'll go the other way. Becky really playing a playmaker role right now for Canada. Seems to be popping up everywhere.
And I like the insertion of Rebecca Quinn, a quiet player in terms of not doing many things that are flashy, but it allows Desiree Scott to be able to sit in that number 6 role, that defensive mid position, and then Quinn can push up, help create, be a bit more of a playmaker, and then it frees up Fleming and Becky to be able to go forward more, get players into the attack and make those darting runs without leaving them susceptible for a counterattack.
Sinclair in the box. Gets 2 players rushing at her. Quick defensive compactness for the United States, but a couple of moments now. Canada doing a good job of riding some confidence. This is a team coming into this tournament was ready for a restart. They were ready to play this games that were meaningful, because for them, the 2019 World Cup was their last really meaningful games, qualifying games, games where they had a lot on the line. For them, it didn't go as they would have planned. Losing in the round of 16 to Sweden, didn't score as many goals as they would have liked. So for this Canada group, who brings all players from that 23-player roster in France, they want more. Sinclair, really good run for her. She's in space, Christine Sinclair! What a save by Alyssa Nair! Palms it away! Revere keeps it. Now Lawrence, Sinclair still in the middle. She tries to find that second ball, but Ertz does enough to get it away initially. Not convincing defending here for the United States. Revere's ball. Nair sends it out of danger, and it's going to go to Emily Sonnet. You cannot sleep on Christine Sinclair.
Well, the timing of that run, and you got to imagine she wants that one back, because usually we've seen those in the back of the net. But it's that space on the outside of Julie Ertz where Canada is finding some success, just popping off. She's isolated. Becky does a good job of facing up, and this is the timing of that run and the brilliant pass to keep that on the ground. Phenomenal attack by Canada. Could easily be 1-0 for them right now.
Kristen Press now in space. She missed it. Big thumbs up from her, but wow. We've called so many Kristen Press goals here, and this looked like it had goal written all over it.
And Rose Lavelle again on that half turn in between that back line and midfield line for Canada. Gets her head up early, and it's that deep service. Poor defending there from Canada. Here's that other look on the other end. It's perfectly timed run. But listen, Nair does a good job of coming off her line, reading that one.
Good slow-mo there to see the courage from Nair, taking it off her chest. Oh, Becky. What a good move by her.
And Janine Becky just having so much fun, finding space in there to create, get herself into good goal-scoring positions.
She's feeling it. We'll see what Becky can try to create here as we're inching into 5 minutes left in this first 45. Lawrence high presses here, and Sinclair's going to join her. Making it difficult for Nair to find maybe the target she wanted, but Jessica McDonald does a good enough job of keeping it. There's Janine Becky making it difficult on Crystal Dunn. I want to see her odometer at the end of this game. Janine Becky has been running everywhere.
Well, it's credit to the entire Canadian side, because they're doing a good job positionally that you don't have to do a ton of running. You just shift together, and when the U.S. isn't switching the point of attack quick enough or moving the ball and spraying it, it is easy for those players to get over. So she's able just to pop in, pop out defensively, but then also as soon as they get the pressure on the ball for the U.S., just quick turnover.
Horan looking to break the back line. Not the speed to get onto the end of that one, as does Lindsay Horan. 25 years old, playing in her 83rd cap. Ertz helping her team initiate some high pressure, but Canada breaks it pretty nicely. Becky eats up the space.
And that's just too easy, though, for Janine Becky to be able to pop in that side. It's that space that we talked about outside of Ertz and right in front of the back line for the U.S., where Becky is having her most success. U.S. midfielder aren't tracking the runners. It's difficult for them to get back, and she's just able to face up and spray balls in.
That's a run we've seen from Janine Becky throughout this entire tournament, the right side of Canada does such a good job of those internal to external runs from Becky, and then Revere will come into that central channel. So that has to be something that they talked about, defending the right side for Canada. Right now, Canada has to defend as Press hits that one cleanly. It's a flick from Lavelle, and it's out of bounds over the nearby line. Canada's gonna get a restart here with a goal kick.
And 3 decent looks there from Kristen Press. This one gets a good enough little deflection from Rose Lavelle that lands right to Kristen Press, and she takes that one well. Excuse me, it was a deflection off of Rose Lavelle.
Cool slow-mo to see the technique there by Press. I think that's why the other shot where she missed it wide shocked me so much. Her technique and how still she is in those moments is so impressive. Dahlkemper chews up some space. Buchanan switches it, and now Scott brings in Lawrence. Runners in front of Lawrence for Canada, but chased down by 3 United States players. Sinclair in behind. Nair doing a good job of coming off her line to bring that one in. Press's ball, trying to bend it back into the path of Williams, Lynn Williams. 2 goals for her in Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifying. She's a player who's really excelled in NWSL, 12 goals last season for the North Carolina Courage, who ended up winning NWSL championship. Now she's trying to make her name known on this international stage. McDonald wins the first ball. Not cleared the first 2 times by Canada. Now Horan had a chance to tee it up. Can't quite get the volley on it she would have liked. Here's that earlier shot from Press. You're right though, Labe had it covered.
She had it covered, and it looked like originally she was going to be able to get a little touch, but that was headed into the back of the net. If it had just an inch below in terms of a dip. In the U.S. with some opportunities in terms of shots, but no real quality chances that are breaking down this Canada side.
There's your thoughts on the U.S., Lori, after 45 minutes. 0-0 between the United States and Canada. How about for Canada? Thoughts on the first 45?
A brilliant first half, in my opinion. Really came out. Usually we typically see a high energy physical game, and that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing a sophisticated Canada side getting the ball down, playing out of the back, and finding numbers up situations, especially out wide, and then penetrating balls through to find Sinclair, and a few good opportunities that Nair had to come up big on.
0-0 here at halftime between the United States and Canada. We will be back in just a few with highlights and stats from this first 45. Welcome back, Carson, California. Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifying final match. United States take on Canada for the 4th final in a row. Well, it was a few chances for both sides, and neither team able to find the back of the net, Lori. But for the United States, their opportunities came early.
And they came from the wide spots or set pieces, but Canada doing enough to keep it out of the back of the net, and then they would settle into the game and have the better of the possession, the better of the opportunities. Very different look to this game than we originally thought, which is usually high energy, a ton of physical play.
Now ball in by Ertz. The right idea to try to beat that compact back line for Canada. Kristen Press's cross here doesn't do enough.
And opportunities from the U.S., balls whipped in, but not enough to really test LeBay or this Canada side in terms of making them come up with a big play. It's near misses, not great contact. The best that we saw in this game so far is Kristen Press's strike from distant, and that was just some individual brilliance.
For Canada, they had a few good opportunities. This one coming from Fleming, but their best chance, you see a little bit of a slow-mo from that, was the player that you don't want to get free. The player with 186 goals to her name, Christine Sinclair, had an opportunity to get free as we see Williams on the other side, but Sinclair is one of those players that can lull you to sleep and then come up big in the key moment.
And her ability to play make and then also pop off. And this is that shot that we were talking about for Kristen Press, and that's the first time we saw a striker pop off that back line, buy her time, buy her a little bit of space in that midfield and be able to post up on that half turn and show her ability to strike. And this almost catches LeBay in that upper 90.
Here's that opportunity for Sinclair.
And on the other side has been Becky that's pulled the strings in that midfield. Good little movements, and this is a fantastic through ball. Keeps it on the ground, bends right into the path. Christine Sinclair timing her run perfectly, getting on that back shoulder in between that space between Crystal Dunn and Allie Krieger. And this one should have found the back of the net. You know, Kristen Press not happy with that, with the goals that she scored throughout this tournament.
She hits this one clean, but nothing on frame there for Kristen Press. Possession there favored the U.S. in the first part of that first 45, but then swung towards Canada's favor later on. Shots on target also going in favor of Canada. Both these teams are in this game, Lori. This has been a good final match.
And what I love about this first half is really an evolution of what this rivalry looks like, because as we've said a number of times, it has been physical. It's usually high energy, choppy, not a ton of rhythm in this game. And so far we're seeing both teams trying to find different ways to break each other down, stingy defenses, and really got to give the credit to Canada, though, their ability to be sophisticated much more than we saw in that semifinal match.
Who's going to be the player to figure out a way to break this deadlock? We'll be back. Canada, United States, second 45 after this. great crowd on hand here for the final of the Concacaf Women's Olympic Qualifiers. The fans are enjoying the halftime. Well, Canada's back out and warming up. It was big goose eggs for both teams after the first 45 minutes. We'll see what happens here in the second half. I'm Jordan Angeli alongside U.S. Women's National Team veteran Lori Lindsay. And here come the U.S., Lori. 15 minutes for both these teams to reset. A couple of thoughts for you as you reset there at halftime as well.
Well, Canada, keep doing what you're doing. You have a solid back line with those 5 back lines. They've changed their formation since that semifinal game, something we've seen from them throughout this tournament. And it's allowed them to open up and get numbers up situation in that midfield where they're having a ton of success. And then the U.S., if you're not going to make any personnel or formation changes, then you have to decide how you're going to press and how you're going to go as a team. Make sure you stay compact because it's too easy. Once Canada breaks our first line of, or initial line of pressure, they're finding those extra midfielders, and then they're off and running and find Sinclair.
Both teams' last second pep talks here. They both qualified for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. But right now, everything's on the line. Pride is on the line. These squads know that every opportunity, every minute out on the pitch together is a chance to sharpen their game, to get better at their craft, and nobody knows it better than that woman, Christine Sinclair, the captain and leader of this Canada squad. For the United States of America, they're going to be captained today by Julie Ertz, her first time actually captaining the full team. They're going straight down the center, trying to find Lynn Williams. Stephanie Labe scoops that one up. And it is a unique situation where a final maybe doesn't mean as much as the semifinals do when it comes to qualification. But for these teams, they are competitive. And it means maybe even more knowing that they can beat their rivals from up north or down south.
Both of these teams came in not only wanting to qualify for the 2020 Olympics, but also winning the Concacaf regions, having the ability to say that they're the best in this region. And it's been quite a rivalry throughout, with the U.S. having the better hand, with so many of these players playing together on the club sides, friends, but then foes on the field. Just enhances this final even more.
Crystal Dunn has started every single match for the United States, the only player to do so. A lot of rotation in the starting lineups for Vlatko Andonovski. Rose Lavelle had the game-winning goal in the semifinal, and it was a very Rose Lavelle goal. Through traffic, finding a way for Canada, and coach Kenneth Heiner-Moller, well, their game-winning goal was the only goal of their semifinal match, and it came from their 19-year-old youngster, Jordan Heidema. We haven't seen her yet, but right now, Lynn Williams taking it right at the back line. Williams, strike! Labe dives on it. A really good opportunity there early on in this second half for the United States.
And we haven't seen much combination play between the strikers of the U.S. This is the first time we see Jess McDonald and Lynn Williams link up. And Lynn Williams, good little separation touch that separates her to be able to use her speed to get past and get that shot off. Bay has it covered the entire time. Difficult as Lynn Williams is starting to fall away from that, trying to place that in the far corner.
Abby Dahlkemper played her collegiate soccer, as we saw Emily Sonnet show a little bit of acrobatics on the near side. She gets a cheer from the crowd. Abby Dahlkemper played at UCLA for college, just down the road from Carson, California, which what I was trying to say before Emily Sonnet distracted us all. No, Sonnet's on the ball now. The player who is playing in NWSL, got traded from Portland Thorns to Orlando Pride earlier in January. Lindsay Horan and Desiree Scott getting mixed up there, and Horan commits a foul. Ouch.
Ouch is exactly right. A little late step there. Desiree Scott does a good job of getting that out of from underneath her feet, and then Horan just catching her there at the last minute.
That's one of the things on my list of things that I don't miss about playing, Lori.
The missing toenails?
Yeah. Scott's up and running. Desiree Scott, a real leader on this squad, 153 caps for her, but her team loses it here now. Kristen Press has showed us her shot from distance already tonight. That one gets disrupted before she could give it a go.
I'd like to see Lynn Williams keep her run wide. Those three front runners up top have really narrowed this field, making it easy for Canada because it allows to get even more numbers behind the ball. If Lynn Williams just stays wide, it forces Sophie Schmidt to have to make a decision on whether or not she's going to stay wide with Lynn Williams or pinch in.
Good first touch there by Horan. She brings in Sonnet. Now Press, flicks it. No one there for the United States. Good recognition, though, from Sonnet there to use McDonald as a dummy run to the outside and see the gap open. That speaks to the patience. One of the things you wanted the United States to do in the first 45 is just be a little bit more patient in their attack. Here's Ertz. She keeps that one alive and does enough to draw a corner kick. I think it's a good change of call here.
I thought that was a foul there on Ashley Lawrence.
It was either a goal
going
kick or a
in
foul.
with the shoulder, and you can't go shoulder to shoulder, but it was enough of a dip to force Julie Ertz off balance.
This is going to be a goal kick in the end. No foul. Ertz wins the ball. She had a second assist like that just the other night. Williams, far post. Over the head of Lavelle. Now Horan in some space. Connects with Lavelle. Lindsay Horan. Press. Better little combination there. Rose Lavelle got the worst of that collision with her teammate Lynn Williams. She's still on the ground as Dahlkemper clears it out of bounds, and referee Tatiana Guzman is going to go over and make sure Lavelle is all right.
And fantastic little 1-2 combination play, and then the recognition from Lindsay Horan, instead of trying to go herself, looks to play this one to Kristen Press. It's easy, pushed away there by Zadorsky.
I might play it to Kristen Press too. She's 7 goals in the last 6 games for Press. She's got the hot foot. Williams has the pace to go by all these players, and she does just that. Only one runner on the box, Lavelle. What a sophisticated run by Lavelle there.
And much better energy in these opening 7 minutes from the U.S. A variety in their attack. This time it's Lynn Williams using her speed. I would like to see Rose Lavelle does beat Buchanan to that ball, but can't get around. It gets tangled up in behind her. If we had trailing runners, she could just lay that one off, and then a player could get a better shot that's coming in behind. And those are the little nuances that the U.S. is going to need to start to see throughout the game, and the recognition as they continue to evolve and find different ways, because Canada has been so good with getting numbers behind the ball, making sure they're touch tight in the box, something that the U.S. hasn't faced throughout this tournament. And if the goals and opportunities aren't coming easy for the U.S., they've got to be able to find little combinations, little subtleties that are going to be able to break it, this goal, 0-0 goal line.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there, Lori. One of the reasons both of these head coaches looked forward to this match so much. Yes, they believe in their squads and their ability to win in this matchup, but they also know that playing against the best, you're only going to get better. You're only going to be challenged in ways that you need to improve. Both of these squads getting a little taste of that here. Yes, there's some good soccer being played, but that being one of the nuances that for the United States, Vlatko Antonovski is well aware. Near post, now it's Haran. It gets deflected in by Schmidt, and Haran is still down. Haran gets a helping hand from Shailina Zadorsky. So here's the look from the United States.
Well, Lynn Williams doing a good job of just using some craftiness and a little bit of her pace to be able to separate herself, and you got to think, how is that not in the back of the net? Lindsay Haran gets there first, but at the same time, Sophie Schmidt doing enough to push her off balance and getting that ball out of danger.
Kind of similar to that last attack where you said, can we use that near post runner as almost a dummy? Well, the United States nearly executed that to perfection there. And for Lynn Williams, showing that advanced sophistication in her game, because a year ago, maybe even earlier this tournament, she would have taken that extra touch. Instead, just gets that half a yard and sends the ball in. Now Kristen Press, far side, deflected out of bounds.
And this is much better from the U.S. front runners. Staying wide, Lynn Williams and Kristen Press, finding more of the ball, being able to take 1v1, and if they can't get the cross off, they're at least forcing Canada to give up a corner kick, and we know how dangerous the U.S. is on set pieces.
First of this half, third of the game for the United States here. McDonald, Ertz, Haran, pretty good targets in the box for the U.S. Canada has to defend here. Flicked over, McDonald! It goes over her right foot, Sonnet gets deflected by Becky. Sinclair seemed to be struggling after that one. McDonald's back on her feet. Wow, what a scramble.
And case in point, Jordan, how dangerous. This is fantastic by Julie Ertz to throw her body to keep that one in play. Otherwise, it was going to be punched out of bounds by Canada with the numbers they have around it. And Vlatko Antonovski can't believe it. Does look like a foul there in the box. But Canada doing enough to get a number of players around that ball.
Inches, centimeters from the head of Jessica McDonald. The U.S. get another chance here, far post. Lavelle wins the header. Quinn sends it far, far away. Maybe a good choice not to have Rose Lavelle with the cast on her left wrist to throw the ball in. She receives it here. The U.S. will restart. United States got to this point with a 4-0 victory against Haiti, 8-0 against Panama, and then 6-0 against Costa Rica in group play. They took down Mexico 4-0 in the semifinal. 22 goals for, 0 goals against. For Canada, they beat St. Kitts 11-0. 4 goals in that one by Adriana Leon. Then took down Jamaica 9-0, Mexico 2-0 in their Group B play, and then they just beat Costa Rica on Friday 1-0. Coach Heiner Moeller said, such an accomplishment for this squad to make it to another Olympics. Really talked about their structure and formation going into this game and how he knew that they'd have to be disciplined, and I think through the first 58 minutes, the head coach, Heiner Moeller, has to be pleased with the way his squad is played so far.
And sophistication is the key word there, Jordan. Just their ability to keep possession when needed. Also look to find Sinclair, who's sitting on that back line of the U.S., especially in that first half. Now it'll be interesting these last 30 or so minutes of this game in regulation on how Canada can withstand the pressure by the U.S., because this is when the U.S. typically turns it on. They have the ability to be able to rotate players, fresh legs. So can Canada continue to be smart, connect their initial passes?
McDonald, ball gets headed away by Zadorsky. Christine Sinclair, 186 international goals, 11 of them coming against the United States. She has never scored against the United States in Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifying. Well, she's breaking a lot of records this tournament. I'm sure that's one stat line that Christine Sinclair would like to break as well. But she did have that nice performance in the 2012 Olympics where she scored a hat trick in the semifinal against the U.S. Not bad there for
Talk about
Sinclair.
individual brilliance. Single-handedly kept her Canadian side in that game.
So the rivalry is not only here, it's big matches like that. Semifinals of the Olympics. The United States took down Canada 4-3 back in 2012. United States would go on to win gold in the Olympics. Canada would win bronze. Now Canada in 2016 also taking home a bronze medal. The United States out of that tournament early after losing to Sweden. Here's Williams, Lynn Williams, what a fantastic strike! The United States are up 1 in the 60th minute off the boot of Williams. Lori, can you place it any more perfect than that?
And we can say what we want about this U.S. performance so far, but it's difficult and almost impossible to keep this U.S. team off the scoreboard. Unfortunately, it comes off of a misplacement, miscommunication by the back line between Revere and Buchanan, and then look at that strike. It doesn't get much better than that. Give Lynn Williams or any of those U.S. strikers a few inches, and that's what they'll do. And always credit to this U.S. team. It might not be the prettiest, but just like that, they'll pounce on you. They'll continue to put pressure, force you to cough off a ball, and then punish you.
Williams in the 60th minute, the Fresno, California native. Went to college just down the road at Pepperdine University. I'm sure she's got a few fans in the stands cheering her on as she scores a big-time goal for the United States. Her 9th in her career. Sinclair here picks up the ball, is eager to get the other way. Becky. She had Lawrence on the far side. Now, Revere gets a free kick for her squad in a good position, especially when you've got Christine Sinclair as a target player in the box. We're gonna see a few subs here for both teams. Megan Rapinoe is gonna make her way in, replacing Jessica McDonald. Rapinoe leading assists in this tournament. Rapinoe with 4 assists already. She brings a little yelling and spark as she comes onto the field. We're gonna see Alicia Chapman come onto the pitch, as well as Deanne Rose for Canada. And Chapman is replacing Revere. Rose Lavelle is also going to make her way for Samantha Mewis. We've talked about the depths of both of these squads. Now you guys are going to be able to see it. I did say Deanne Rose was going to come in. They're going to hold that for just a few. Only making that one sub, bringing Alicia Chapman in for Revere. This ball into the box, headed away by the goal scorer, Williams. Doing the work in both boxes. Good slide tackle there by Sonnet, and right away Becky's telling her team where she wants the ball. Buchanan wins the first ball. She'll get the second one too, but she fouled Abby Dahlkemper. Kadisha Buchanan, such a good target in the box. Trying to make something happen for Canada here.
It looks like she was going to break free, but has already fouled Abby Dahlkemper. Fortuitous for the U.S. in terms of winning that.
Well, those two subs for Canada got held off as the United States made their subs. And now we are going to see Alicia Chapman come in for Jade Revere. Chapman in her 72nd cap for Canada. Then Deanne Rose is going to replace Rebecca Quinn. Quinn, a little bit of encouragement for Rose. And Rose, a player after the game on Friday when Coach Kenneth Heinermuller was talking, he specifically mentioned the ability of Rose to come in and lifted the team, created a fire. Can she do it again here when Canada need it the most? Ertz wins this one off of Scott. A lot of space for Ertz. Scott tracks back in time to pick her pocket. First real touches here for Rapinoe. Looking to get around Lawrence. She'll try again. Solid defending by Lawrence. U.S. will restart.
I like the insertion, Jordan, of Sam Mewis and Megan Rapinoe, because at this point in time for the U.S., you're up 1-0. These two provide you with a little bit more of a linking type mentality. See if they can connect the ball. They'll still provide the energy going forward. But can you keep Megan Rapinoe wide, create that width? Can you get Sam Mewis coming out of that midfield, but then at times picking and choosing her times when she's just going to help keep possession?
Williams gets it again. This time the shot is off target.
Lynn Williams has really started to be even more active in this second half. Popping off that back line. She's pinched in more into a central type role, not staying as wide except for those first 10 minutes of the second half. She's finding some success to get some shots off and pounce on any sort of miscommunication on that back line for Canada.
Rapinoe presses the back line. Now here's Williams. Plays Haran. Awkward challenge at the back of the 6, and Lawrence comes up with it. So you speak to Williams' play, but another insertion is Sam Mewis in the midfield. How does she change the way the midfield looks for United States?
In the first half, Rose Zavell and Lindsay Haran, I felt were doing too much of the same work. So not only does Sam Mewis provide you with an aerial opportunity on set pieces, but she also allows a defensive presence and a playmaking ability out of that midfield more than we saw. I think she'll pop off and help Julie Ertz defensively, but then also get the ball to be able to link. And to close out this game with 20+ minutes left to go in regulation, that's what you need, is someone that can dictate the tempo.
Press is sent in right there, just beyond her reach.
Additionally, if you're Lynn Williams and you're feeling it and you're getting on the ball and you're creating some opportunities for yourself, you got to look at this matchup Alicia Chapman, number 2, just coming in for Canada in that left back position. Can Lynn Williams get the ball and start running at her and see if she can catch her by just being introduced into the game?
Chapman has the experience. Defensively can get the work done, but might be a little bit more poised going forward. Right now, this is a player you want on the ball. Sinclair. Allie Krieger picks that one off. They're looking for Deanne Rose, trying to get those fresh legs in behind the back line for the United States. Kristen Press shifts it to her left foot. Press has no one in the box to try to pass it to. She looked like she wanted to go for it, though. No indication that Press was going to cross it to anybody.
Not any indication. And we've seen her every time she's either started or come into these games, put her head down and go for goal, and it's paid off in this tournament.
A little different when you're dribbling against the back line with Kadisha Buchanan, Shailena Zadorsky. Sonnet gets that one out of danger. We're going to see another corner kick here for Canada. Nothing too dangerous there for the United States. Rapinoe picks it up, has done centrally. She'll play her. You hear players yelling, keep it.
Absolutely, and that's what Megan Rapinoe and Sam Mewis will bring to this team. And if you're Emily Sonnet here, this is the chance. Somebody should be screaming at her, just keep the ball. There's no point in giving the ball away and then forcing your team to have to defend again. These are the moments where the U.S. can improve. They can become smarter and more sophisticated. Just keep the ball. You don't need to go. Force Canada to chase. They're the ones that are down 1-0. Then they'll open up space to be able to exploit in a 2v1 situation, and then you can attack with better quality chances.
Ertz brings in Mewis, who's found her way to the left flank. Here's Horan in the box. Lindsay Horan makes it 2 for the United States. The build-up, the finish. Beautiful from the U.S. Back-to-back Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifiers where Lindsay Horan has found the score sheet.
And you can see what this goal means to the U.S. And it's Sam Mewis this time that pulls out wide, creates that width. And then Lynn Williams, thank you very much. Doesn't try to go herself, just finds the easy pass. Perfectly weighted header right onto Lindsay Horan's foot. A little cheeky little touch there to beat Alicia Chapman. Something that we talked about that the U.S. should go after. Bring on a fresh defender. Introduce her to this game. It's that separation touch from Lindsay Horan, and then slots it far post past the diving LeBay.
She gets big hugs from her teammates on the sideline. 6th goal of this tournament for Lindsay Horan. She is finding a way to find the back of the net. Lori, it was like they heard you. It's right on cue. A little bit more patience in that build-up, getting numbers into the box. It was that wide run from the midfield, and Sam Mewis really makes it difficult for Canada to defend.
Anytime you have that interchange and the movement from midfielders into the attack and the attacking players out into the midfield, so difficult for opposing teams to defend. You have to be on the same page. And if you have a midfielder, the one that's providing the width, then you have to make sure you know who's picking that person up, and it freed Sam Mewis to be able to play that fantastic ball whipped in. It landed right to the head of Lynn Williams.
The pressure from Becky. Ball flies out of bounds, and Emily Sonnet will restart this one. But not before we see a substitution for Canada. It's going to be Jordan Heidema, the goal scorer in the semifinals, making her way and replacing the longtime vet, Sophie Schmidt. Schmidt leaves the game after making her 196th appearance for Canada. Heidema comes in, and she's been lethal in the box for Canada. She doesn't need a lot of looks. One opportunity for her can start to get Canada back on the right track here. Lori, how does Canada get her involved right away? At some point, is it a shift in formation for them they have to open up, they have to try to win?
Well, it doesn't really matter to me in terms of formation. We're already seeing them insert more attacking player with Deanne Rose getting in there, Jordan Heidema on the field now, and Jordan Heidema so good in her aerial battle, so if they can continue to spring and find the width quickly, once they get a hold of the ball, then whip balls in and let her work her magic in the box. But they are going to need to start playing more direct, almost within 15 minutes left to go in regulation. And they got to start pumping some balls forward. Still plenty of time, though, to be able to keep possession, but anytime they can find Sinclair's feet or her getting on that back shoulder of the U.S.'s defense, they've got to play it.
Last 15 here in Carson. The 2 goals from the United States coming in the second half. The 60th minute from Lynn Williams with a perfectly placed ball to the far post, and then it was Lindsay Horan off of a beautiful build-up. Nifty little touch in the box, and she placed it so perfectly. 2-0 United States. Canada searching for that first one. Sonic clears it first. Sinclair wins the second ball. Keeps it for a second, but couldn't get back up to retrieve it.
And that Jordan Heidema substitution also allowed Sinclair to pop back into the midfield. She's in more of a deeper role now, so she'll be able to make those runs out of the midfield that have been so dangerous for this Canadian side.
A role we see Christine Sinclair play a little bit more in NWSL with the Portland Thorns.
Speaks to the evolution of her game. Not only can she play as a front runner, but just as vitally important as a build-up player, a playmaker for both club and country. One of the reasons, despite just being an amazing soccer player and a brilliant goal scorer,
really
has allowed her to be consistent and continue to have an impact at this international level.
Just a true footballer, out and out. The way she sees the game is so unique. Has paid dividends for herself, but most importantly for her, for this Canadian squad throughout the entirety of her 2 decades as a member of Canada. Buchanan's on it now. He's going to bring in Zadorsky. Now Chapman. Playmaker Fleming, a really good pass to Becky, Janine Becky. That was her chance. She wanted a far post run, and it was nearly there from Rose.
And this is how you're going to break down the U.S. defense. Well done by Fleming to pop into that little space. And then it's that outside in run just behind the back shoulders of the U.S. from Becky. So sneaky and such perfect timing, perfectly weighted pass. I don't know why she didn't just square that one up to Deanne Rose, who's in the far post. Could have tapped that one home. Goes for the tight angle instead.
Big challenge here between Krieger and Sinclair. Does not look good as both of those players immediately fell to the ground. Right away, we're going to see training staffs from both squads come to the pitch. Head injuries taken so seriously, as they should in soccer. Here's a look at it. Tough first angle there, and it looks like they both might have been just doing what you're taught to do, right? Keep your elbows up, protect your face, your head. You're going up for those headers. As we wait here for both players to receive treatment. Christine Sinclair, 293 caps for Canada, inching closer to 300. She would be one of very few players on the international level to ever reach that mark. It's Krieger. Walks away from this one. We'll see if both players will be able to continue. For Canada, it would be a bigger hit as far as subs go. They've already used 3 of their subs. The United States still have 1 sub on hand.
And at this point in time, if the U.S., you might opt to take that, make sure that Krieger's okay.
I agree, yeah. Head injuries are so delicate, and one of the things talked about a lot in our sport as far as the evolution of the game, right? Do we figure out a way to allow for substitution for head injuries? A topic that is debated all of the time. Well, we're gonna get back underway here in Carson, California. United States with 2 goals in the second half. 11 minutes apart. Ali Krieger makes her way back onto the pitch. Canada and Christine Sinclair able to go again. They have 10 minutes to figure out a way to get 2 goals back, to try to right the ship after losing the last 3 Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifiers in a row to the United States. This one would mean a little bit more. They could figure it out. Time is running out. Kelly O'Hara gonna be subbed in for her Stanford alumni, Kristen Press. Press has had a quality tournament. 5th player in United States history to score 6 goals in 6 straight games. Kelly O'Hara comes in after playing her first 90 minutes against Mexico of 2020. She'll see this one out for the United States. Not a like-for-like sub, so what do you think that means for the United States, Lori?
Going for more of a defensive posture, making sure they shore up this game. We see already Kelly O'Hara on this right-hand side. Looks like she'll play in a deeper midfield role and change the formations, essentially. Stick more players in the midfield. Don't allow Canada to get on the ball and play make. Actually, it looks like Kelly O'Hara is just on the winger position. Not a like for like, but at the same time, just a straight swap in terms of positioning.
Kelly O'Hara was once a front runner for many, many years. So not out of the ordinary, just hasn't found herself in that spot with the front runners the United States have. Mewis turns in space and has Williams. She'll get it again from Williams. Rapinoe streaking down the left side.
Well done by Ashley Lawrence there. Sam Mewis with nowhere to go. And that's been a bit of an issue in this game for the U.S. in terms of being isolated, not knowing where to pass, not somebody to quickly be able to play the ball off of. Still find themselves up 2-0. But at the same time, well done for Ashley Lawrence to recognize that and go put pressure on her quickly.
Intensity rising for Kenneth Heiner-Muller and his Canadian squad. Of course, both of these teams have already qualified for the Olympics. This final for the first place in Concacaf and bragging rights. Football knows no gender. Football knows tenacity. This is your open invitation to get off the sidelines and get in the conversation. Concacaf W, we belong. Heiner Moeller, arms extended, wondering how much time Emily Sonnet's going to get on the ball, but I'm sure our head referee Tatiana Guzman and all her officials are keeping track of every ticking moment here, making sure correct stoppage time is taken care of. Here's Mewis, wins the first ball, nice flick from Williams. Now Haran can't connect with O'Hara. Some bright spots between the connection of Williams and Haran here.
And it's those little darting runs out of the midfield that are difficult. We see Desiree Scott having to track those runners. A lot of times the midfielder doesn't want to make that.
Haran, two defenders, earns a throw-in.
To that point about Haran making runs, those are the moments that are difficult for any team, not only just Canada, but any team to have to pick up those runners. And we didn't see that a ton in the first half. And when you see like a player like Lindsay Haran, or excuse me, Sam Mewis come into the game, you shore things up. You have a player that can sit back in with Julie Ertz, allowing to free up someone like Lindsay Haran that does like to make those runs out of the midfield.
Williams header off the mark. Labe won't earn another shutout here. 3 shutouts for her in this tournament. For Alyssa Nair, she'll have 4 shutouts if the score holds in this tournament. Over 30 career shutouts for Alyssa Nair. Time's ticking for Canada. Their playmakers deep on the field. Picked off by Lynn Williams. She has Rapinoe. Plays a great ball. Here's Rapinoe. It's 3-0 United States. Megan Rapinoe with her first goal of 2020. She just puts it home.
And this is where you got to think that the rotation of players and bringing in fresh legs for the U.S. have really made this difficult in these last 20-30 minutes for Canada. Playmakers are deep. Unfortunate giveaway, and Lynn Williams is off and running, and then it's a perfectly weighted pass. Megan Rapinoe does a good job of keeping herself on side. And then just slots this one. Credit to LeBay, does a good job of coming out, closing down the angle. But Megan Rapinoe lets this one cross her body and then slips it with her left foot to that near post.
Big celebrations for the United States. Megan Rapinoe, the woman of 2019, gets her goal scoring off and running here in the 87th minute. The 3rd goal for the United States. It might not be done yet. Here's Mewis. Found an assist from this position earlier in the game. That cross finds the head of Chapman. Now Ertz. Haran. Looking for O'Hara. A lot of numbers right at the top of the box for Canada.
And credit to Canada, really first 70 minutes of the game, so sophisticated, so disciplined in their game plan. And once you get scored on, that's what goals will do. They'll punish you not only physically, but mentally as well.
Here's Mewis off of a poor giveaway. She brings in Rapinoe, couple of runners, but Scott's the first player to meet the ball.
And it forced Canada to come out of their tight defensive shape. Now we're seeing so much space in that midfield where the U.S. has success to be able to run and play make out of those areas. We're seeing Mewis, we're seeing Lindsay Horan make runs, just overloading the numbers, freeing up the likes of Megan Rapinoe.
And it speaks to the point that you were just saying, is the playmakers were so deep for Canada because they're trying to make something happen for their squad. When you're losing, that's not where you want them to be. You need them higher up the field, creating in the attacking third, and that's the kind of pressure the United States can put you on relentlessly for 90 minutes. Still teaching moments here under the new head coach, Vlatko Andonovski. Looks like he's gonna see his 7th match in charge, yet another victory. All he does is win. So far, that is, Lori.
Well, this will be a fantastic game for him and his coaching staff to take a look at, realizing that Canada in many ways was the better team, especially throughout that 45 minutes, on how they were breaking the U.S. down, how they were keeping possession in the little areas. You never want to take away from the U.S. their tenacity, their ability to attack in numbers.
Back for more, the United States in the attacking third, Dunn on the ball.
But the evolution of this team is going to be able to dictate the tempo better than we have seen.
It's an early cross for Dunn, but it's going to be easy for Lave.
And pick and choose their moments when they can go forward, when they can keep possession, when they can have runners get out of the midfield.
See the 4th official indicate 2 minutes of added time to the end of this match. O'Hara, the freshness of the legs, gives a little bit of pressure on the back line. The United States and Canada both already qualified for the Olympics, but the United States searching to do something no team has ever done: win the World Cup, and then in the following year, win the Olympics. Lori, you've seen the U.S. play now against a good Canada team, 8th in the world. Can the U.S. be the team to make that happen?
Absolutely. I mean, and under a new coach with Vlatko, you have excitement, you have a new way of playing and working out little kinks and stuff. And again, it goes back to this game though, learning from these challenges that different teams present to you, and no better than this Canadian team that came out, and again, we said sophistication, getting numbers behind the ball, having that 5-back, difficult for the U.S. to break down. So how can you approach these games with different personnel, different ideas throughout? But this U.S. side looks strong in many ways in terms of their physicality and their ability to break teams down. So if there's a team out there that can win back-to-back, it's this U.S. team.
United States tried to do it last time the Olympics happened in 2016. After the 2015 Women's World Cup, a lot of changes to the squad. Abby Wambach retired. Lauren Holiday retired. This United States team could potentially have the same exact roster. Every player being on that World Cup team, being on the Olympic squad as well. Well, we'll see both these teams going to the Olympics, but the United States end up first in Concacaf with that 3-0 victory versus Canada here. And it took a little bit of time, but in the end, the United States showed their class in the last 30 minutes.
And if you're Canada, despite the goal score or the score line, you are extremely pleased with the way this game has gone. Really bright spots for this team, and they continue to get better, the Canadian side. Also credit to the U.S. Not the prettiest of games, and still finding ways to continue to come out with a W. And top of Concacaf again.
Old college teammates there, Sinclair and Rapinoe, giving each other a hug. Some quality soccer here for both sides. But the United States, 3 goals. Williams, Horan, and Rapinoe in the last 30 minutes to put the United States on top. We will be back for the ceremony and presentation of the championship here at the Women's Olympic qualifying in just a few.
We have Kristen Press, player number 20 from Team USA. Kristen, congratulations. What does it feel to win this competition for the 5th time in a row?
You know, I think this is our expectation. We go into every tournament with the pressure to win. I think the most important thing is to qualify. We're super excited. We're proud of ourselves for that. And then to top it off with this game was excellent for us.
Team USA had an amazing tournament. You guys made it all the way to the final, win the championship without conceding a single goal. What was the key for this?
I think it's mentality, staying in it. We play in a high press system, limit the other team's chances, and I think it's team defense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Jordan, obviously not the result you wanted to see today, but battle-tested, I think, against an American side, the best in the world, and for a good majority of the match, you were right there with them. How would you evaluate overall the team's performance?
Yeah, I mean, we were really happy with our first 60. We kind of talked about it right there in the circle that we were with them for the first 60, but it's just about that last 30, you know, keeping up with them and pushing to that final whistle. Obviously, we didn't do that this game, so we're a little disappointed with that, but ready to come back stronger, ready to play them in the Olympics and get a different result.
Well, the road to the Olympics is on. One of the big takeaways from this tournament, also personally for you, you're about to go on stage and receive the Golden Boot. What does that mean to you, and how much of your teammates impacted where you are right now in your career?
Yeah, I mean, I said it in the beginning of the tournament, like I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. Just perfect assists, you know, I was just in the right place at the right time, so that enabled me to get here. But yeah, good tournament for our team. Obviously looking to push forward. We wanted the win here today, but a little disappointed.
Good performance today, marching on to the Olympics. Congratulations on getting there, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first award of the day is the Scotiabank 2020 Concacaf Women's Olympic Qualifying Fair Play Trophy. This award for promoting the spirit of fair play.
Welcome back
goes
in
to the
Carson,
United
California,
States of America.
as we start the trophy presentation here for the Concacaf Women's Olympic Qualifying. The United States taking home the first trophy for Fair Play Award. Carly Lloyd, captain of the squad, up on stage now, accepting the award on behalf of her team.
For the 2020 Concacaf Women's Olympic Qualifying All-State Golden Glove Award, which honors the tournament's top goalkeeper. To receive the Golden
Top
Glove
goalkeeper
Award, please give a
for
round of applause to
this
Stephanie
Concacaf
Labbe
Women's
from
Olympic
Canada.
Qualifying is Stephanie Labbe from Canada. Great tournament for Labbe. Shutouts until tonight's match. Big time performance from her, earns the Golden Glove.
We now continue with the presentation of the 2020 Concacaf Women's Olympic Qualifying Golden Boot.
Now we're
which is
headed
awarded
to
Jordan
another
Heidema of Canada.
Canada award as Jordan Heidema, 7 goals on the tournament, earns the Golden Boot. Her last goal coming in the semifinal match, and it was by far the most important as she solidified her team spot in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Jordan Heidema there, 19 years old, playing her club soccer at
We now
Paris
honor the best
Saint-Germain.
player of the tournament to receive the Scotiabank Golden Ball Award.
Now the Golden
from the
Ball, a
United
player that
States,
Lori Lindsay
Kristen
has
Press.
talked all tournament about, the class of Kristen Press. Yes, she scored goals, but she has just caused a lot of problems for opposing defense. She is going to be the Golden Ball winner for this CONCACAF Women's Olympic Qualifying.
And when you look at this U.S. team in general, Jordan, and vying for spots, you go from 23 players from the World Cup last summer to only 18 that make the roster, and how much depth this U.S. team. Congrats to Kristen Press, because she's really made a statement for herself on why
CONCACAF
she should
will
be on
now
this final
present
roster
medals
for the
of
2020
recognition
Olympics.
to
Another
honor
important
today's match official.
Factor in these games is, yes, you're playing for a tournament championship. Yes, you're playing for pride in this final. But for these women, they know that this squad of 20 is going to go to 18 in just a few months. Any way you can affect your coach's decision to make sure you're one of those 18 players named is important. We're seeing the referees from this final match receive their medals. Best referees of the tournament getting chosen for this final. Tatiana Guzman was in charge in the center. We're first going to see Canada receive their runners-up medals. Something now that maybe stings a little for Canada. This is the 4th Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifier in a row that they've been in this position. The 4th time for that woman as the captain to be in 2nd place. Fuel to the fire, Lori, because they're inching their way up in world standings. They're inching their way up in quality of play, but they just can't find a way in this final match for the last 4 times in a row to beat the United States.
And credit to Canada. I thought this was one of their best performances they have put together against this U.S. team in terms of quality of play, the sophistication that they presented on the field. In majority of this game, better side against the U.S. And we're just starting to see the evolution all around. And typically, we alluded to this throughout the game, the physicality of this rivalry. Usually we see more yellow cards, disruption of rhythm of play, but tonight, really well executed game by the Canadian side, and the U.S. just showing, though, how difficult it is to continue to play against them with the organization defensively and just the amount of pressure they can put.
We heard from the Golden Boot winner, Jordan Huitema, as she makes her way down the line here. She was saying that we did, and I am with you, Lori. I'm with Jordan Huitema, as Canada was neck and neck there with the United States for 60 minutes. Now, what do they do in those last 30? How can they improve in that part of their game in the next 5.5 months? Well, that's the true test, because another thing Jordan Huitema said was we're ready to play the United States in the Olympics. So right away, you know this Canadian squad is thinking about that next matchup with their southern foes, the United States. Coach Kenneth Heiner-Moller, the last one to receive his medal, as Canada stands and awaits the winners, the champions of the Concacaf Women's Olympic Qualifiers, the United States of America, walk up to accept their medals, to accept the trophy. This was a squad who, through the entirety of the tournament, were able to mix it up. When you're playing in an Olympic tournament, Lori Lindsay, you've been there, 2012. It is so important to have depth on your team with the games coming fast and furious, only 2 days of break in between. What the U.S. did here throughout the entirety of this tournament is a really good preparation for the Olympics.
Well, with 5 less players than you have available for yourself from the World Cup to the Olympics, with fewer days in between games, only 2 days of rest between each Olympic game, it is a difficult tournament because, as you mentioned, it does go fast and furious, takes a toll on your body, and to be able to rotate players and utilize your entire squad, this is fantastic preparation from the U.S. and why they continue to be so dominant, because the competition, the depth, the players that they can put in to get it done, it might not always be the prettiest, but their ability to put these teams under pressure, force them to play a full 90 minutes and defend this U.S. squad for a full 90 minutes. You don't see any other team in the world that can do that.
Not only did every player but Adriana Franch, the 3rd goalkeeper, get minutes during this tournament, but they all got multiple starts as well. So significant minutes as you see the United States getting ready to accept the Concacaf Women's Olympic Qualifying Trophy. They are your champions. They're headed to Tokyo. Carly Lloyd is going to accept the award on behalf of her team from Concacaf. 2 new players from the United States, Lynn Williams, Jessica McDonald, Lynn Williams, Andy Sullivan, not a part of that 2019 Women's World Cup squad. This is the first major championship for them. Big to add
the United States of America.
Those players to this repertoire. Now the U.S. celebrate their championship. Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifying champions pose for a picture. Confetti falls, fireworks rain in the background. Lori Lindsay, final thoughts here for this Concacaf Women's Olympic qualifying final.
Fantastic final game, exactly the rivalry you see, evolution of this Concacaf region. But both teams showing how they've evolved, and also the U.S. continue to prove why they're the best in the world with the depth and the tenacity that they play with.
We'll be back as the champions celebrate. We'll show you highlights from this final. 3-0, the United States take down Canada and our Concacaf qualifying champions. Celebration still underway in Carson, California. The United States took down Canada 3-0. Well, the first goal, Lori Lindsay, looked like this.
This is what the U.S. will do to you, wear you down, and pounce on your mistakes, and Lynn Williams does just that, and what a strike this is. Upper 90, makes no mistakes about it.
60th minute there for Williams. Well, 11 minutes later, she would assist Haran, and some silky touches by Haran.
And this is something we hadn't seen throughout the first half for the U.S. Just a little sophistication play, their ability to understand where each other is. This time it's Lindsay Horan that gets it on the end of this, but it's Lynn Williams that sets her up so nicely. Just a little lofted little header back into her path, and her first touch sets her up, and what a nice finish that was.
Third and final goal. Who's in again? Lynn Williams with the assist. Megan Rapinoe slots it home.
And Lynn Williams really came alive in that second half, pouncing off the back line and then running at the back line as well, and perfectly weighted pass. Megan Rapinoe does a good job of keeping herself onside, and then just allows that ball to roll across her body and slots it near post with her left foot.
Canada took a little bit of the possession away from the United States at the end of the first half, but then the United States regained possession. But in the end, Canada did a good job of holding the United States to that 0-0 scoreline at half, but it was that sophistication in front of the net that was the big difference.
And that would be one of the first times that we saw a Canadian team really outpossess a U.S. team. They showed a lot of maturity, sophistication in their play, and in many ways broke down this U.S. team, made it really difficult for them to get any quality opportunities in that first half. Second half, though, U.S.
For
got it.
Lori Lindsay, I'm Jordan Angeli. That's it. The champions of Concacaf for Olympics qualifying are the United States.